Hey guys, so Chelsea and I just spent the day filming a ton of new Studio Bloom content with some of our other Bloom coaches, and we wanted to come on and do a quick IGTV for you guys in regards to the Psoas post that we did just the other day. I wanted to clarify some things while also giving you guys some tips and some stretches and even a more intense ability to release the Psoas than we were able to do or able to address in that post. So I want to be clear on a couple of things. When I talked in that post about releasing the Psoas, so when I talk about really releasing the Psoas or potentially an over tight Psoas, first of all, not everyone has an over tight Psoas, but it could be a component that is almost like the missing link. So when I talk about that, I'm not talking about a woman or an individual who has not addressed healing her core foundation postpartum, who has not built or rebuilt strength in her foundation, and has maybe more of an excess fat pooch than a woman that we would classify as having a functional core, having a strong core, being able to control her core, be in touch with her breath, and yet she still has this tiny pooch, right? So it's about you've done everything that you're supposed to do. If there was an exact protocol, let's say, to heal your core and reestablish that foundational strength. And you seem to have done everything. You hit all the marks. You're seeing results. Maybe you've even healed your diastasis. But you notice that you have this tiny little lower belly pooch. Again, not because of excess fat. We're talking about a strong, durable core. Sometimes that can be because of a tight psoas. So when our psoas are too tight, it can create this anterior pelvic tilt. So it creates more of this lordosis in the low back, which is super common for pregnant mamas, but we want to get the spine and the pelvis back into a more neutral state postpartum. So because of that, we need to lengthen and release the psoas so that we can come back into a more neutral pelvic state. Therefore, you oftentimes when that happens will see the belly flatten out if that was the reason that your belly was pooching in the first place. Anytime we post anything on Instagram, there is never one cure-all for everything. In fact, I would tell you to steer clear of any method, branding, or any individual that tells you one thing is a solution to all of your problems. We just try to give you guys tools, right? And we're limited with what we can do on Instagram. So this was just another thing that you guys could have in your toolbox if you happen to be going down this path and you're like, what is going on? Why am I still showing this tiny little pooch in that low belly? Let's address the psoas and see what happens. So the psoas, we can address it via stretching, which Chelsea is actually going to walk you through some stretches, and I'm going to help you guys understand how to maximize these two stretches. We'll basically do a beginner stretch and then a more up-leveled stretch. Stretching is great, and I recommend stretching to all of our mamas. It is a really great way to maintain a more lengthened psoas. It can sometimes not be enough. So we have this amazing little tool right here called the So Right, and it's gonna really help you release the psoas if you need more of a deep release. So if you're someone who may fall into a category around seeing someone for body work or a PT or a chiropractor that can go in and manually release that psoas, this can sometimes really come in handy for an at-home ability to release that psoas. So Chelsea will lay on this in a little bit too and show you how fun and semi-painful but oh so relieving this can be. So when we talk about beginner stretches, because I know a lot of you guys DM'd me about what are some stretches I can do at home to help my psoas. So a great beginner stretch is you're gonna come up onto one of your knees
The knee that you're on is actually the psoas that we're gonna stretch. So you're gonna activate your glute just slightly. Sometimes you can even come into a posterior tilt just slightly to lengthen that psoas a little bit more, and then you're gonna drive your opposite knee towards your toes. I also want you to slightly engage from pelvic floor up through the TVA, so really knitting that rib cage together. Again, when I talk about activation, this is not the same activation that you would have in a plank. It is a gentle and subtle activation to bring awareness to the core and create a little bit of stability in the torso. And you can stay here. You can go a little deeper. So the closer the knee comes to the toes, the deeper it's gonna be. You wanna really lengthen from the knee to the hip. And then you can also get into the obliques this way too. So if Chelsea wanted to, she could extend this right arm and come over, and oh my goodness, Chelsea, how does that feel, girl?
All the way down.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stretches. Now, this is also pretty beginner. So if you get into this and you're like, yeah, I feel it, but I want something more. With stretching, I think it's really important that you guys always know your limits and always kind of stay within that range, because we don't want to overstretch and injure ourselves. But when you're ready to up level it, you can pop up on these toes. So instead of being on the knee, you're going to be on the ball of the foot. Now the trick here is that you want to drive your heel back behind you. So really drive the leg back behind you. It's gonna lift the knee up and take a little bit of the bend out of the knee, but don't lock the knee. And then you're really gonna activate that glute. So that is crucial, that this all stays lit up. And then you're gonna come into that slight pelvic floor and core awareness. And then you're gonna drive that knee forward. And as you drive the knee forward, you're gonna find your stopping point. And when you first do this, I don't expect you to get your knee all the way over those toes. Please take it slow. But you're gonna feel into it. You can back off a little bit, and then you can readjust, re-engage, and go right back into it. Chelsea, does that feel more intense to you?
Very much
Yeah,
so.
she
Yes.
said, oh yeah. Awesome. So those are gonna be 2 stretches that all of you can do at home. Even our pregnant mamas that may be watching this IGTV, this is a great stretch for you guys to help during pregnancy with some of that maintenance stuff. Now we're gonna step it up. Pregnant mamas, I know sometimes you're so uncomfortable that something like this, you're like, ooh, give that to me. I want that to release my psoas. Please stay away from this. Please do not do this. Wait until you're postpartum. You can, again, see a chiropractor, a really good PT, and a really great body worker can still release your psoas during pregnancy, believe it or not. You just gotta find those that are really comfortable and understand the pregnant body. So I'm gonna move out of the way so that Chelsea can get in her position. You are going to want to place these 2 death traps, these psoas releasers about right here. So almost in between the hip bones. Actually, yeah, about in between the hip bones. I had to find my hips before I could confirm that with you. So you're gonna find those hip bone points and place it right there, and you're literally gonna lay on it. But please be gentle, we're not throwing ourselves on this. So be prepared that it's gonna be a little intense, so be really gentle. So Chelsea's gonna stay on her knees. We are not planking on this thing. But because it puts us in this prone position, I do want there to be some slight core engagement, especially if you're still trying to heal a diastasis, and even if you still have separation present, because as you guys know, you can still have a healed diastasis and have a little bit of separation, because it's all about the integrity of that connective tissue. We don't want there to be any intra-abdominal pressure on that connective tissue, so a slight engagement will help with that. And then, like Chelsea is, you're gonna come to the forearms. You may even notice that at first, depending on how tight your psoas are, you might need to be on your palms. So work your way down if you need. Chelsea, talk to us. How does this feel?
This is very painful.
But, okay, so let's talk painful just in case someone's watching and goes, oh my gosh, I don't wanna be in pain, and how do I know what is safe pain and what is scary pain?
So I definitely feel a great stretch. And when I say painful, it's that good stretching feeling that you get when you're doing any type of floor stretches. It feels good, but it's not in a way that's going, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. I find myself rocking back and forth and finding points that need a little bit deeper release, I guess. And so it's a good pain. It
Yeah.
feels good.
Yeah, I think everything you said is perfect. My wheelhouse was going. One thing that came to mind for me is like foam rolling. Think about when you foam roll, and especially when you foam roll and you're a little maybe more sore from a workout or some sort of movement-based thing that you did, and you get to that point, you're like, oh my gosh, I kind of want to just pounce off of this foam roller because that is so intense, but you really need to stay there and sink into it.
That's a perfect word, intense. It is
Yeah,
intense.
it's just intense. But you don't have anything in your brain telling you get off of this right now, you're gonna hurt yourself. So just be aware. That would be where we would call on that intuition and tell you to be really intuitive with when you do this. Now, you can also kind of shimmy down a little bit if you want and find different placements of the psoas, because this is kind of a wide tool that we have here, and just allow your body to slowly but surely sink into that to release the psoas. You may find you also don't want to sit here for like tons of time. I actually would tell you to stay here for maybe a minute and a half at the most, and then I'd want you to get up, maybe do one of those psoas stretches, do another stretch, walk around, lift those knees up, find some mobility in the hips with the hip flexors, and then pop back down on it if you feel like you need to go a little deeper. So Chelsea, I'm gonna have you either shift into a new place or come off of it. The fact that she has not come off of this already is telling me that, again, I just wanna remind you guys that it's that type of intensity that you kind of keep going for.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's so similar to foam rolling in that I will sit there and foam roll and I'll be in so much pain, and sometimes my husband will come downstairs and he'll go, you've been foam rolling for quite a while. I'm like, yeah, I've moved. I'm working my whole body because I've become addicted to what it is doing for me. I'm like chasing that intensity because I know what the ultimate gift is. So this So Right, it is PSO-right. I think it's RITE.com. They're great. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them directly with the company. I am not affiliated with them. We at the Bloom Method, I don't believe in these affiliations of I need to give you a code so that I can get money. I'm not trying to sell this to you. I just think it's a wonderful tool. I bring it on set for when we do a ton of workouts so that my coaches can use it. I use it frequently, and I think it's a really awesome thing if you can't fit in body work or a trip to your chiropractor or a trip to the PT every week or every 2 weeks, because that is truly, if you have an issue with an over tight psoas, oftentimes we need to address some movement things that you're doing too, but that's another video. And through that process, you should still be having that psoas released, either weekly or every other week. So if you can't do it out of the home, get this thing, do the stretches, be in tune with your body. And every time you come onto our platform on Instagram, remember that each post, each video, anything that we share, it's a tool. It will help you, but it is not the end all be all. Okay, if you have questions, as always, drop the questions in our DM. I'm pretty adamant on running our social media, even though it's like a whole nother job sometimes. But it's important for my voice to be here for you guys and to be a constant. So if I don't respond to your DM, one of my coaches will. We will get back to you and make sure that you don't have any questions. If you're a Studio Bloom mama and you subscribe to Studio Bloom and you have questions, you guys know how incredible our private Facebook group community is. So feel free to drop those questions in the private Facebook group for Studio Bloom, and we'll answer them there so that everyone gets the wealth of your question and my answer. Okay, see ya.